Soy has dominated the plant protein conversation for decades, but what if 5 overlooked perennial crops could match or even surpass it and never need replanting? We are counting down 5 rare species, from fast-growing tropical trees to cold hardy shrubs that laugh off -40 winters, each delivering protein densities that put soy's reputation on notice. Starting at number 5, a tree that is ready to harvest in just 6 weeks. In the 5th place, Moringa rewrites the rules for perennial protein with a speed and resilience few crops can match. Native to the Himalayan foothills, but now thriving across the tropics and subtropics, this fast-growing tree is prized for its tender leaves, ready to harvest just 6 to 8 weeks after sowing. While fresh Moringa leaves deliver about 4 grams of protein per 100 grams, the real breakthrough comes when they are gently dried below 55 degrees Celsius. At this stage, protein content leaps to 25 to 30% by dry weight, rivaling many beans and approaching the lower end of soy's dry matter range. Unlike soy, Moringa never needs annual replanting and can be cut back several times a year, yielding a steady supply of nutrient-dense greens. Cultivars like PKM1 and Suka show impressive variation in leaf thickness and protein yield, allowing growers to select for their climate and nutritional needs. The protein quality, with PDCAAS between 0.6 and 0.8, covers all essential amino acids, though methionine is modest. Low-temperature drying preserves lysine and minimizes anti-nutrient buildup, making home processing simple and effective. In USDA zones 9 through 13, a single Moringa tree can supply fresh greens or dried leaf powder for years, offering a resilient, low-input alternative to traditional annual protein crops. As Dr. Jennifer L. Eicher notes, Moringa's rapid regrowth and dense leaf protein make it a cornerstone for sustainable, perennial food systems in warm climates. Number 4. Perennial peanut transforms the idea of a living ground cover into a protein source and soil builder. This legume, known botanically as Arachis glabrata, spreads across warm climate lawns and orchards, weaving a dense mat of foliage that fixes nitrogen and suppresses weeds. Unlike annual peanuts, perennial peanut forms a network of stolons, underground runners that can extend up to 30 centimeters each year, steadily colonizing bare soil without replanting. Once established in USDA zones 8 through 11, the plant produces small pods beneath the surface, each holding edible kernels with a protein content ranging from 28 to 32% by dry weight. University of Florida IFAS trials confirm that, when dry, these kernels approach the lower threshold of soy protein, while offering a perennial harvest. The first significant pod set appears in the 2nd year, and from then on, the ground cover delivers both protein and ecological benefits season after season. Roasting the kernels enhances flavor but reduces lysine by about 10%. Soaking before cooking drops phytate levels by more than a third, making the protein more accessible. Cultivars like Perennial and Virginia Perennial are favored for rapid spread and pod yield. As Dr. Jennifer L. Eicher notes, perennial peanut consistently delivers 22 to 27% crude protein on a dry matter basis, and with optimized nitrogen management, we see values approaching 30%. For gardeners seeking to replace high-maintenance turf with a food-producing, soil-enriching alternative, perennial peanut offers a path to both protein security and resilient perennial landscapes. Number 3. The Siberian pea shrub stands as a cold climate answer to the perennial protein challenge. Where most high-protein crops fade with the first hard frost, Caragana arborescens endures, shrugging off temperatures as low as -40 degrees Celsius. This hardy legume, native to the windswept steppes of Siberia and northern China, has quietly anchored shelter belts and prairie hedgerows across North America for over a century. Behind its modest yellow blooms and slender pods lies a nutritional powerhouse. The seeds deliver an impressive 36% protein by dry weight, matching the benchmark set by soybeans. Unlike annual soy, the Siberian pea shrub forms a living fence, producing protein-rich seeds year after year with minimal input. Planting a hedge of these shrubs not only creates a windbreak, but also yields up to 1 kilogram of seed per mature plant each season. The pods, 1 to 2 centimeters long, split to reveal tiny tan seeds that pack a balanced amino acid profile. While the seeds are edible, they require a brief 5-minute boil to neutralize natural lectins. That step removes more than 70% of these compounds and preserves most of the protein. University of Minnesota agroforestry trials confirm both the shrub's resilience and its protein density, with select cultivars Sutherland and Walker showing reliable yields even in marginal soils. Drought tolerance and deep taproots make caragana a reliable choice for regions where other legumes falter. As Dr. Thomas J. Worrell notes, Caragana arborescens offers cold region growers a perennial source of protein that rivals soy, without the need for annual tillage or replanting. For those seeking to build a food-secure, climate-resilient landscape, the Siberian pea shrub transforms a simple hedgerow into a perennial protein reserve, one that endures where others cannot. Number 2. Winged bean reimagines what a single crop can deliver. Native to Southeast Asia and celebrated as the one-species supermarket, this perennial vine produces not just protein-rich seeds, but also edible pods, leaves, flowers, and even tubers, each part with its own culinary tradition. The seeds, often overlooked outside tropical regions, pack a formidable 30 to 37% protein by dry weight, closing in on soy's nutritional benchmark. But the story does not end with seeds. Fresh pods, harvested just 2 months after planting, offer tender green beans with around 5 grams of protein per 100 grams. As the season progresses, the plant's sprawling vines climb over 2 meters, producing a flush of wing pods and lush foliage that can be sautéed or added to soups. Underground, the tubers swell, providing a starchy bonus crop with a mild flavor, extending the harvest beyond the vine. In home gardens from Malaysia to Papua New Guinea, every part of the plant is used: leaves as spinach, tubers as a root vegetable, and mature seeds as a protein staple. Preparation is key. Mature seeds require soaking and a 20-minute boil to neutralize natural inhibitors, while fermentation, common in Indonesian kitchens, boosts digestibility and brings out a nutty richness. Trials from the International Center for Tropical Agriculture confirm the protein range and highlight that, when grown as a perennial in USDA zones 10 to 13, winged bean can yield for years with minimal replanting. Trellising is essential. These vines thrive when given vertical space and sunlight. Scarifying the seeds before planting can double germination rates, a tip shared by growers across the tropics. Professor Carlos Santiago notes that our winged bean trials across Southeast Asia have confirmed our seed cyst protein levels of 30 to 36% dry matter, making it a viable high-protein alternative to soy. For anyone seeking a resilient, multi-purpose crop in warm climates, winged bean stands out, not just as a rival to soy, but as a whole plant solution for long-term food security. And finally, in first place, sweet lupin stands at the summit of perennial protein. For centuries, lupins have flourished from the Mediterranean coast to the cool fields of northern Europe, quietly producing seeds with a protein density that even soy struggles to match. Modern breeding has transformed this ancient legume, selecting for sweet varieties with alkaloid levels below 0.02%, safe for direct human consumption after a brief cook, and a far cry from the bitter, inedible types of the past. The numbers are striking. Dried sweet lupin seeds contain between 38 and 42% protein by weight, topping the best soybeans and outpacing nearly every other plant-based food. When dehulled, the digestible amino acid score, known as DIAAS, approaches 0.95, rivaling animal proteins and placing lupin among the elite sources for complete plant nutrition. The protein quality, with a PDCAAS of around 0.90, reflects a balanced essential amino acid profile, with lysine and methionine both present in meaningful amounts. But lupin's story goes beyond nutrition. Its deep taproot, often reaching more than 1 meter into the soil, breaks up compacted ground and draws up minerals, leaving the earth richer after each season. In USDA zones 5 through 9, sweet lupin can be sown as a perennial grain, returning year after year with minimal input. Once established, the plants require only moderate rainfall and tolerate both spring chill and summer heat, making them a resilient choice for temperate gardens and small farms. Preparing lupin for the table is straightforward. Sweet cultivars need only a short soak and a gentle boil to yield tender, nutty seeds ready for salads, stews, or flour. Wild or bitter types, by contrast, demand an extended soak and simmer 12 hours plus 2 more hours on the stove to remove alkaloids and ensure safety. For home growers, choosing certified low alkaloid seed is essential. Professor Angela S. McCarthy of the University of Western Australia notes, sweet lupin lines bred for low alkaloids retain their inherent high protein, averaging 39% dry matter, which rivals the protein density of soybean. In fields and gardens, these plants do more than feed. They fix nitrogen, suppress weeds, and build a living legacy in the soil. With the highest documented seed protein percentage and proven adaptability across temperate climates, sweet lupin closes the countdown as a living answer to the question, can a perennial really out-protein soy? The evidence is clear. Plant once, and lupin will feed you and your soil for years to come. Across all 5 perennials, one truth emerges. Protein abundance isn't limited to soy, nor to annual crops. These forgotten species reveal a future where resilience, nutrition, and sustainability grow side by side. No replanting required. Rediscovering them could transform not just gardens, but the foundation of our food security.